Hey there, YouTube. Kyle back at you again. We got us a super sweet machine here. We got us a pink spider camouflage 110cc Chinese Wonder. She's actually in really good shape. Just in a pretty nice condition. The problem with it is that it's not. It doesn't seem to be charging the battery. Unfortunately with that, this particular model is a DC powered CDI, so the engine will not fire without the battery. So, just like in anything that you get, this is what I was told, a lot of times I would think that it's either the stator or the voltage regulator, and I will show you that somebody has already bypassed the... Sorry about that. Battery died. Trying to figure out where I left off. Oh. Somebody has already replaced the voltage regulator. Not with one of the stock Chinese ones, the simple ones that go with this, but something else. So they've already tried, but clearly they either didn't wire it properly, or it's not working, or the stator is bad. So we're going to go through. Got to get a couple of plastics off. Going to do a basic check. See where we're at on the stator. If the stator checks out okay, then it's a pretty simple fix. I've got a voltage regulator. Well, pretty simple because I cut out the plug that would have gone into the original voltage regulator, so I think I've got a spare wiring harness with that plug, so it shouldn't be too bad. But gonna have to do a little soldering and that kind of thing. But bring you along, and we'll see if we can't get this thing charging again. All right, so I didn't take the plastics off just because I was able to get the. This is a voltage regulator that they had in it, wired in it. I still have to cut that out and see what they did, but I went ahead and you take this little cover off that's right here, and there's a plug right here. You're looking for this plug that's got a blue wire, black and red, a green, and usually either a yellow and a pink or a yellow and a white, or two yellows or two whites. It's tough to tell what colors that they're using, but you run a check on these. And luckily for me, I've got a brand new stator and pulse generator here that's from another Chinese bike. I don't know if it's the exact one for this one or not. It's just something I've had laying around. But when you do the checks, you just go from your green. It's very simple. Get you a good ground there on your green wire. And then like green to the black and red. I've got about 360 ohms. Now all these are going to be a little bit different, per the bike, but they're all, as long as, because there's not a lot of extra information out there as far as what these values should be. It's lucky that I have an actual something else to kind of gauge it against. But because of that, they might be slightly different, just a little bit off, but as long as they're within that general range, they should be okay. If it's way off, then yeah, you got a problem. But about 362 ohms to the black and red wire, and then green to your blue and white or blue and yellow. I got about 112 ohms, and that's going to go to your pulse generator. And then from green to our white wire, it's about 1.4 to 1.6 ohms. And then to the yellow wire, same thing, about 1.4, 1.5 ohms. And again, as long if you go to, like right now, the two wires that we're really concerned about are the yellow and the white, because those are the two wires that give us our charging for our battery. The black and red wire is the wire that gives us our power for the engine, to start and run. And then of course our blue wire, blue and white wire, or blue and yellow wire is our pulse generator, which gives us our signal. But so the two that we're really worried about are these. Now those really should be usually within that 1.0, 1.5, maybe even high as 2.0. It all depends on your meter that you're using too. But that, as long as they're in that range, they're good. If either one of these are open, or you have a really high resistance, like a 3, 4, 5, for this kind of bike with this simple system in it like this. And this engine really is, it's a copy of the CT70. So anywhere from the 50cc to 125cc in these horizontal engines, that should be pretty close. Having done this test, this basic test, I think that we either have just a connection problem here with this. I'll have to bring it in here and when I cut this open, see what they did, or this voltage regulator that they've got's bad, or they just didn't wire it in properly when they put the new one in, because apparently this was a problem. I don't know if they did this or not, if this has always been this way, since they got the bike. But of course, me being a hoarder of parts, I've got a new wiring harness here that has a new voltage regulator just like the one that's in it, and it has the plug. So I'll probably end up cutting this off so that I can splice this in. But I have a sneaking suspicion that this was either not wired in properly or it's just bad. So we're going to cut that open and see cut this connection, because I've got it heat shrinked. I mean, they did a fairly good job, but there's this weird, I'll see if I can bring it in here real quick. Here we go. So there's their voltage regulator they put in there. It's got this weird, almost feels like a battery or something. I don't know what the heck that is. But we got to cut this open, figure out what the heck's in here, and go from there. So, all right, I'll bring you back in a sec. Okay. Well, it looks like they wired in what I think is a capacitor. I'm no electronics genius, but maybe some of you guys out there that have a better understanding and knowledge of these things, but that's what I think it looks like to me. Oh, of course, it looks like I just shorted it out. But it says 25 volts at 2200 microfarads. But then just kind of the way they've got it wired in here with these extra wires coming off. I don't know how they made these connections, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm just going to cut this off and see how there is a pink wire. See how this voltage regulator was using a pink wire. So it's pink to white and yellow to yellow. And then you got green and red. That's all you need. So sometimes you can get a pink, sometimes you'll get a pink wire, and that's okay. But we're just going to cut this out of here, solder in something else, solder in our deal here, and we're not going to solder in right away. What I'll do is I'll just kind of twist everything together, start the bike, see if it charges. If it works, then we'll finish soldering everything together, and boom, boom, easy peasy. We don't have to take the rest of the dang bike apart. So just go through there. A lot of times they'll give you the sequence on what to look for, what not to look for, and you can do the same basic diagnosis when it's all said and done. To tell you whether or not it's either your stator or it's a voltage regulator. If your stator checks out just fine, all your wires, plugs, everything looks like it's intact, it's going to be your voltage regulator. It's not uncommon for them to go. But it could very well be your stator. If it doesn't check out, do your stator. Sometimes when the stators go out, they do take out the voltage regulator with them, so it's not a bad idea for the extra 20 or 30 bucks to replace it. Now these Chinese ones, they're super cheap. You can pick them up for like $4 or $5. Yeah, that's about it. And then once you get the whole bike back up and running, you want to take your meter and put it on the battery before you start it, see what your voltage is. Start the bike up, jack up the back end, get your rear wheels off the ground, and give it a little gas. And if as long as your voltage goes up a little bit, everything's working just the way it should. So other than that, thank you for watching, and go Cardinals. Hopefully we can beat the Rams tonight. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.